Alright, our program is getting pretty long here, so I'm going to clean up shop a little bit by moving some of the functions that we may or may not work with anymore to the bottom. So let's take these, and since we already have the function prototypes declared up at the top, it's okay to put them after main. Main already knows that there exists a constructor that takes in 3 arguments because we said so up here. You can find them later down below. Let's create another setter function, another mutator function that changes just one of the fields this time. And so we can see that it's more than just convenient syntax. You can actually do things with these functions that change the way that a person interacts with your class. So let's take a look at this variable age. It can only be positive. Let's make a setter function that checks to make sure that the age that's typed in is positive, and if not, maybe we'll assume that the person meant to make it a positive age, and so we'll make it positive. So I'm going to create another setter function. It's going to be another void function. It doesn't return anything, it's just going to change this age field. It's going to be called setAge. It's going to take in a single argument, an int. We could call it page up here, but it turns out you don't need to type the name of the variable up there. You just need to specify what it needs to take in. Just like we specified that this function, setName and age, is going to take in a string, and an int. That's why we know down here in main that it takes in a string, and an int. We actually specify the behavior of that function down here. Let's write this function here. It's a void function. It's part of the person class, so it has access to all the fields. It has access to the state, and person takes in an int called, we'll call it page. It's a parameter. It's temporary. It's not going to store any information into age unless we say age gets page parameter. Pass it. But we don't want it to set it directly. We said we want to make it so that if we call that function, here, let's be sure, identifier age is undefined. Well, we haven't actually named our function. setAge. There we go. Let's go down here and let's change Dustin's age here. We can say p3.setAge. What if we typed in -31? Let's run this code. It's going to take that -31, store it in page, that parameter temporarily, and then change the field of person p3. Compiling. Apparently Dustin is -31 years old. That's not right. So let's make our setter function, our mutator, check to make sure that the page, this parameter age, was positive, and if not, it's going to make adjustments accordingly. So let's write an if statement. If page is less than 0, we're going to make some changes. We're going to say, let's first print out some things. I'm going to copy this from what I wrote before. So if the age that the user typed in accidentally, let's say, is less than 0, it's going to assume that they typed a negative sign by mistake, and it's going to set the age of whatever person's name is to not page. We're also going to change the age to negative. Okay, we're going to take that negative age and make it positive by doing a double negative there, and then this will be correct. That'll be a positive number, and we're going to now, after all that's done, assign age gets this changed age. Pass in -31, and now Dustin is going to be positive 31 years old. And if we pass in the correctly positive 31, Dustin is still positive 31. Works either way. We might want to change our constructors below Let's copy and paste this, or cut this over to the bottom now. We won't want to change our constructor here that's setting the name and age to use our function. We can do that, right? We can say, instead of age gets page, we can say setAge page. So everything is still working, but now whenever we type a negative number, wherever that negative number appears, we're going to make sure that that age is positive. Compiling. Several mistakes were made. It's going to make sure that it's going to say we typed that negative signs by mistake. It assumes that the ages are all supposed to be positive. Just an example of what you might want to do. But we could still manually go in and change that person's age to a negative number. If we access that field directly, so after we have called all these functions, we've made sure that the person's age is positive, we could go in there and hack things and set the age manually to a negative number. That's still possible. So next time we're going to see how we use the private part of a class interface to make sure that doesn't happen.